But sticking with the Big Ten, Penn State became the first Big Ten program to play a game at Jordan-Hare against Auburn. And I found this interesting because not only were they the first Big Ten team to travel to Auburn to play a game, they also could pull the double, and they did exactly that, winning this game 41-12. Penn State had this game very much in hand from the jump. And the man that I've been telling you about for the better part of 8 months, the man I said would be for this Big Ten conference this year, what Travion Henderson at Ohio State was for the Big Ten conference last year, Nick Singleton, went off once again. 10 rushes, 124 rush yards, and 2 touchdowns in this game. Hand the ball to the dude wearing number 10. He is a talisman for the Penn State Nittany Lions. I made him into the second coming of Saquon Barkley. You know what kind of player Saquon was, but it's even richer than that. Penn State had not had a 100-yard rusher since November 2020 until last week when Nick Singleton went for over 100 yards rushing against Ohio. Then he comes back against what we all think is a good team, if not a quality team in the SEC West, and he puts up 124 on 10 carries. I know that James Franklin has been mixing in the tailbacks. I know that he wants to get all 4 of those guys touches. But for me, it's the Nick Singleton show. 124 rush yards to your quarterback throwing for 178 pass yards. You're going to need that kind of production from them when you get into Big Ten conference play. And a team that I did not think was going to be that good to start this season, it's not only an AP top 25 team, but they're going to head into conference play undefeated. Congratulations to Penn State and the Nittany Lions. I'm really excited to see what this means for the Big Ten East, which I think is the second best conference in the second best division in all of football, but is going to compete with the SEC West for that moniker this year, if not the SEC East, who's got a couple of teams in Georgia and Kentucky that are pretty doggone good themselves. Staying inside the Big Ten again, number 4 Michigan does exactly what we thought they would do to a team like UConn. They stomped a mud hole in them and they walked it dry. 59-0 is the score. The spread was 47.5 points. Now, I want to go through some things about Michigan that you might not know that really have kind of swayed my opinion on what kind of football team this can be. We'll talk about competition here in a bit because that's still just getting under my skin that they haven't played anybody that I think is any good just yet. But J.J. McCarthy was outstanding, 12 of 15, 214 yards. He's going to be the starting quarterback for the foreseeable future. Cade McNamara, unfortunately, went down with an injury that is going to keep him out for at least a few weeks. I think this is J.J. McCarthy's opportunity to shine, and that's a great thing because J.J. turned Michigan into a totally different team. They become less of a battering ram and more of a sports car. What I wrote down for myself is that they're long, they're fast, they're disciplined, they're fast. They've got a 5-star quarterback that I've been hyping for the better part of the year. Plus, they're really fast, all right? They got a V10 underneath the hood with a drag coefficient of like the Formula One car of 1.1. What I'm saying is, with J.J. McCarthy, Blake Corum, and those wide receivers like Roman Wilson, you're going to have opportunities that you didn't have last year in being able to take advantage of your speed offensively and not just having to rely on outstanding defensive play. And by the way, they're pretty doggone good as a defense. Corum was outstanding. I think he had 12 rushes, 72 yards in this game. This is also the first time Michigan has ever had 50 points scored in each of their first 3 games. And they've been playing football for the better part of 140 years. I think this is team 143 for Michigan. And the mood in Michigan is not unlike the mood that I would associate with Oklahoma in 2017. They feel like they are good. They feel like they have an opportunity to not only defend their Big Ten championship, but get back to the college football playoff and have a better showing, and more power to them. Because we've been making fun of Michigan. I've been making fun of Michigan for the better part of a decade because they haven't been able to get past Ohio State. And mistakenly thought that beating Ohio State meant that they would win the Big Ten championship and get a college football playoff berth. Joke's on me, people, as that's exactly what they did last year. And the guy that helped them beat Ohio State for the first time in over a decade is the guy that lost his job to the sophomore quarterback phenom. I'm excited to see what this means for Michigan football as they get their first Power 5 opponent in conference play against Maryland. Big Noon is going to be at that game. I'm excited to see what Mike Loxley's program can do. They get Southern Methodist a little bit later on tonight. They'll hope to move to 3-0. We have two undefeated teams, possibly two top 25 teams going at it in our opening conference slate for Big Ten football. Blake Corum scores 5 touchdowns in this game, which ties a Michigan record that was set by Hassan Haskins last year and held by Ron Johnson for a year. I should say both of those guys are tied up at 5. Finally, I want to put this in front of you for your consideration. Michigan was favored by 46 against Colorado State, 52 against Hawaii, and 47.5 against UConn. If you think that is good enough for them to be a top 4 program, I submit to you, there's a Tennessee team that has beaten a top 25 opponent in Pitt that is playing a 47.5 point favorite against Akron and is also undefeated, but they play in the SEC East. They play Alabama and Georgia every single year. And oh, by the way, Kentucky's good. And they're always going to have a problem with Florida. So is Michigan benefiting from soft scheduling and last year's performance? Or is Michigan just that good? I hope we get closer to answering that question when they play Maryland next week. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.